When you're speaking to a group of people, the last thing you want to do is acknowledge something that's lacking from your side, because that's the first and probably the last thing they'll see. So if you're talking to a group and you say, sorry, I'm a little all over the place, they're going to notice how you're all over the place that whole time. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Yeah, you seem a little groggy. Sorry, my lips are dry. Guess where my attention is going? Consider yourself the ace. Hold yourself to that standard. Even if you're feeling some type of way, even if you're out of breath, you're nervous, don't admit it.
All right, what is going on, my friends? This is Real English Radio, and I am your host, Tony Kaizen. And today we're talking about one of the most commonly used phrases amongst English learners around the world. The phrase they use to acknowledge their imperfection and lack of experience. And that phrase is sorry for my English. Now I'm going to explain everything that's wrong with this phrase and why you need to remove it from your vocabulary today. Because when you say sorry for your English, when you apologize for your English, even though you may think so, it's really not just about being polite. When you apologize, it's usually because you feel guilty, as if you've done something wrong, or you just feel ashamed of yourself, as if something is wrong with you as a person. The apology often comes from a place of fear, the fear of being judged, or the fear of not being good enough, or not being accepted by the people around you. And there's often this need to be perfect in order to feel worthy of attention or respect. Because in many cultures, especially the ones that value high achievement and have that culture of saving face, when you make a mistake in public in front of other people, especially a linguistic mistake, a grammatical mistake, you say something that sounds funny, or you embarrass yourself, it's painful. You feel like a loser. You feel like a failure, like you've disgraced your family name or something like that. So the apology becomes this kind of preemptive defense, this way of softening the judgment by self-sabotaging. You see what I'm saying? It's as if you're saying, hey, I know what you're thinking. My English is terrible. I look nervous. I'm not making any sense. My accent is super strong, or my pronunciation is not the way it should be. So you don't even have to mention it. I know it sucks. I know it's terrible. I know I'm a piece of shit. You don't have to say anything because I already know. But the reality is that most people aren't even thinking about your grammatical mistakes or your strange choice of words or your accent, your pronunciation, until you apologize for it. And then suddenly it's the only thing they can think about. That's all they notice because you've brought it to the forefront of their attention. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, be for real, bro. You really think that people can't tell that English isn't your first language? You think they don't already know that? Like, if you're still at the point where you feel the need to apologize for your English not being perfect, then I can guarantee you that people can tell you're a foreigner as soon as you start speaking. The same way you can identify a foreigner in your country within seconds of hearing them speak or meeting them. And just like you, most people notice that you're a foreigner and therefore still learning to speak the language naturally. And then they immediately put all their attention on whatever it is you're trying to say in that moment. And not how unnatural it sounds to a native's ears. Am I making sense? Like, they know that English is not your first language, so why would they expect you to speak English like a native? And more importantly, why would you expect yourself to be speaking English like a native when you know it's not your first language? It doesn't make any sense. Apologizing is also a way to control the narrative or to control the interaction between you and these other people. Because if you say, sorry for my English, I apologize, I know it's not great, I'm sorry, then you've essentially called out the flaw, or you've named the flaw. You've acknowledged what you perceive to be a flaw, something that's wrong with you, before they can. You kind of like beat them to the punch. You see what I'm saying? So in your mind, it's like, now they can't tell me my English is terrible because I've already acknowledged it. And so in a way, it gives you this false sense of power and control over the interaction. Even though ironically, it ends up magnifying whatever flaw that you call attention to. It just makes you look even more insecure. You see what I'm saying? And because our language and communication styles are so deeply tied to our identities, speaking incorrectly or unnaturally can easily trigger this fear of not being accepted. So when you say, sorry for my English, you're essentially saying, I know I'm not good enough, but please accept me anyway. But it's the very act of apologizing that makes people begin to doubt you in the first place. If you would just own the fact that your English is not perfect or that you're still not totally comfortable talking to other people, then people would just accept you the way you are because you've accepted yourself. But if you're constantly doubting yourself, everyone else is going to do the same thing, bro. I mean, think about the last time you watched a football match. We as spectators can always tell when a player is doubting himself. His team has just won a penalty. The captain hands him the ball, and now millions of people around the world are watching him as he approaches the penalty spot. And we can tell by the way he walks, by his poor posture, by his lack of concentration, that he does not believe in himself. He does not believe in his ability to convert that penalty. And then the referee blows the whistle. The player runs up. He kicks the ball rather sheepishly, and the keeper saves the penalty easily. And we collectively say to ourselves, I knew it. I fucking knew it, right? Even the commentator says something like, you never really believed in him from the start. You could just tell he never really looked confident in himself. Even the commentator will say some shit like that because we all know, we see it. He was doubting himself, therefore we began to doubt him. And so then think about somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, think about the last time you saw him take a penalty kick or a free kick. Now, whether he's going to score or not is irrelevant because we all know that nobody's perfect and even the best miss from time to time. Cristiano Ronaldo has missed penalties. He's missed free kicks. It happens. But in that moment, the only thing on Cristiano's mind is putting that ball in the back of the net. His focus is unshakable. And he even talks to himself. He says things like, you can do it. You can do it. It's the same as always. For you, it's normal to score. You know you're the best. You know you're going to score. You can find videos on YouTube of him saying shit like that to himself before he takes a free kick or a penalty. He does not doubt his ability for 1 second. And as a result, neither do we. He steps up to the penalty spot or he steps up to take a free kick. Even his opponents, even the fans in the stands who support the other team, even they are nervous because they know and believe in his ability because he believes in his ability. And it's only through the belief in himself that he's able to do the shit that he's done in the past however many years. You see what I'm saying? And the good news is that when it comes to speaking English or any other foreign language, the goal is simply to communicate and to connect with others. It's not to perform or impress or score goals or points or anything like that. It's just communication. Nobody's keeping score. There are no penalties. There are no red cards. And no one's getting a trophy at the end of every conversation. The only thing that matters is that you express yourself to the best of your ability because you literally can't control anything else. And this is why some people who can speak English perfectly still have no friends. And other people who don't speak English perfectly, or they have a beginner's level or intermediate, they don't have that much vocabulary, they can make friends pretty much anywhere they go. And it's because language proficiency, or lack thereof, doesn't make you a better or worse person. And going back to the football thing, just think about people like Ronaldo or Sergio Aguero or Gerard Piqué, Arne Slot, Jurgen Klopp, Ruben Amorim. Like, just go on YouTube and watch videos or interviews of these guys speaking English. Is it perfect? No. Does anyone care? No. And can we understand what they're trying to say? Yes. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So instead of trying to appear flawless, instead of trying to appear perfect in every situation, in every conversation, we can teach ourselves and the people around us to value connection over perfection, at the risk of sounding corny or cliche. But I'm serious. Like, that's all that matters, bro. Real human connection, leaving a good impression on people and having a good time, making friends or whatever it may be. That comes from authenticity, bro. That comes from being yourself, being a cool human being that other people want to connect with and relate to. It has nothing to do with how perfect your English is, or how good or bad your pronunciation is, or how flawless your grammar may be. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, knowing your English is not perfect and still choosing to speak, still choosing to put yourself out there and try to be social and try to improve your linguistic ability, that's something to be proud of, bro, not ashamed of. Why would you be ashamed of that? Learning to speak a foreign language, any foreign language, by yourself, which is what you're doing, is something that the majority of the population will never do or even try to do. But you're doing it. And that takes courage, bro. It takes discipline. It takes humility. It takes patience. It takes perspective. You know what I mean? You got to be resourceful. Dedication. It takes so many things for you to reach this goal over the course of years, bro. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's not months. It's not a year or two, bro. It's a lifelong thing. Because if you stop speaking, you'll forget everything that you learned. Guaranteed. And so why, I just don't understand. I do, but I understand why you might feel ashamed. I understand where it comes from. But what I'm trying to convey is like there's no logical reason to be ashamed of something like that. Dedicating yourself to learning a skill that will serve you in countless ways. Any skill, whether it's learning English or playing football or running a business or doing hair and nail, it doesn't fucking matter, bro. Why would you ever be ashamed of trying to learn something? Practicing something, trying to get better at something. Why would you apologize for trying to get better at communicating in English? Fuck that, bro. It doesn't make any sense. The next time you feel insecure about your English or your ability to communicate, or you feel that you're not making sense when you speak, you can say something like, hey, English isn't my first language, so I appreciate your patience. Thank you for patiently listening to what I'm trying to say, you know? Or feel free to tell me if something I say isn't clear. Feel free to let me know if I'm not making sense. I'll try to say it a different way. No apologies, no shame, no ridicule, no embarrassment, bro. Just self-acceptance and confidence.